Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into Morning in the Valley. It is Friday, April the 11th. And, a couple of weeks ago, the opening two rounds of the NCAA tournament, it was always an awesome day to call in sick. Now we've got the Masters for 2 days. It's a great day to call in sick and enjoy some wonderful golf. We're going to talk about a great golfer. We didn't even know he was a great golfer. Harry Schroeder. He's the Valley Hoops Insider. He's going to be with us here in just a few minutes, talk some Valley headlines with Harry, as tried to have him on a little earlier in the week, but he was busy on the links. So we'll talk some golf, but we'll definitely talk some college basketball with him as well today. All right, plenty to get to. First and foremost, headlines of the morning, and it is portal season, most certainly, as we've talked about the comings and the goings. And this is a big, as the portal, we're getting ready. We're about a week and a half away from it officially closing, but now that we have had so many meetings, phone calls, Zooms, these are big weekends now, as this will be a busy recruiting weekend, lots of visits in person and so on with multiple teams here in the coming days. We'll get to one visit in particular coming up in a minute, but one visit won't be necessary because we officially have a commitment. And his name is AJ Casey, a transfer from St. Louis. He has committed to the Aces of Evansville, a young man that is from the Chicago area and spent his first 2 years at Miami of Florida, was part of their Final Four team down at Miami, played 53 games there in 2 seasons with the Hurricanes. Transferred to St. Louis. Again, a Chicago kid getting back a little bit closer to home. Only played 3 games with SLU this year. Played a grand total of 21 minutes, got hurt, ended up sitting out for the season. But this young man is a 6'9", top 75 kid coming out of high school before he went to Miami of Florida. And it's just, it's incredible the size that David Ragland just continues to rack up over there. In Evansville. Untapped potential is probably the best way to describe him. Again, after you play 53 games at Miami, you score a total of 73 points in those 53 games. You play 3 games at SLU after you transfer, play a total of 21 minutes. But again, top 75 out of high school, top 70, depending on what metric you're looking at. But this is a young man that is untapped potential. And David Ragland has 2 years with him that he will try to be able to tap into that potential and get the most out of him in a Purple Aces uniform. We know that next week, Larry Hughes II will be visiting Evansville. Larry Hughes spent the last 3 seasons at St. Louis as well. Don't know, with AJ Casey was only there 1 year. And Hughes left midway, left the program early in this past season. So don't know how much time they got to spend together. So don't know if that's going to be a net positive or not, that relationship, and trying to get Larry Hughes to come to Evansville as well. But a good get, as the kids like to say, for David Ragland there in Evansville. All right. The other visit that is of importance that we will look at now is Isaiah Barnes. And he is from Tulsa, actually played at Michigan for 2 seasons. 2 years, only played 2 games his freshman season. He redshirted that year because of injury, but then spent the last 2 years at Tulsa, where he played a lot at Tulsa. Started 54 of 57 games for the Golden Hurricanes. In the 24 season, averaged 8.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, about a 32% three-point shooter this past season. Numbers went up a little bit, 9 points a game, 9.3 to be exact, 4.6 rebounds, three-point shooting got up to 33%. So he is now looking for a new basketball home as well. He is going to visit Temple on Sunday, but he will be at Valparaiso on Tuesday. Roger Powell hoping that maybe the hometown allure will be able to bring Isaiah Barnes to Valpo. He is another Chicago kid, 6'7" wing, and so an opportunity to get back closer to home. Certainly Temple's in Philadelphia, nowhere near Chicago, but we'll see if Mr. Barnes, who will be on campus on Tuesday for his visit with Roger Powell. There is a interesting name that got back into the portal yesterday, confirmed. Connor Hickman, who was obviously a year ago, the 2023-24 season, he was a third-team All-Missouri Valley Conference standout at Bradley. Averaged 14.5 points a game, was a 40% three-point shooter in that 23-24 season. Spent his first 3 years at Bradley, and then he went to Cincinnati for what we thought was going to be his senior season. Only scored about 4 points a game, struggled shooting the ball, but most importantly got hurt. I guess most significantly got hurt in this for this story. Only shot 25% from three for the season, but broke a split 13 games into the year. And so he is going into the portal now. And the most important part of his deal right now is he has to apply for a waiver to get a fifth year because by the letter of the law, Connor Hickman has passed the threshold for getting an injury redshirt. I believe the letter of the law is 30% of games. And usually that's 9 is usually kind of the number, and that number has gotten a little bit bigger because more games being played as the years go on here, and so from whether it's 10, whether it's 11, the math's kind of fuzzy, but he played 13. So he's just over that threshold of 30%. Cincinnati played 35 games last year. So 13 out of 35, that's 37%. He needs to apply for a waiver. As we have seen, it seems like if you apply for a waiver, you're gonna get the waiver. That just seems to be the way things work right now in the NCAA. But what I'm just curious to see is Mr. Hickman going to make his way back to Peoria, Illinois? And will there be a spot for him? Will Brian Wardle have any interest in does he want to go back to Bradley? If he can play again, does Brian Wardle want to have him back to Bradley? We have seen Bradley. The prime example just this past season, Zeke Montgomery, spent his several years at Bradley and having a great run with the Braves, and then went the portal route and went to Rhode Island, spent some time there, and then last season came back to finish up his career at Bradley. So a never say never situation, and I don't know the relationship between Connor Hickman and Brian Wardle and how things were left when Connor left, but Coach Wardle has certainly shown that he's okay, bringing guys back if need be. So just something to keep an eye on with Connor as he has to, again, go through this waiver process, see if he is able to get that fifth year of eligibility, but if he is, where he could potentially end up landing. This is now time for, I guess we like to call this story time with Uncle Jeff. We are in the time of year right now where everybody is, we are so thirsty for information. We are so thirsty for information when it comes to recruiting and the portal and who is our favorite team, talking to and offering, and who are they coming in to visit, and all of it. We are dying for this information. What you all and we all, and I put myself in that group, what we all need to understand is that there seem to be sort of like 3 or 4 steps in the process of when it comes to bringing a guy in. You will see, especially now when there are agents involved, you will see things that say, one, Jimmy Smith has been contacted by such and such a school. Well, that always gets everybody's radar up and they're all excited about that. Well, again, as we talked about the other day, look, just because a player has been contacted by a school, many times that contact is, hey, Jimmy, this is Coach X from School Y. Would you be willing, would you be interested in talking? And if that's a yes or a no, they've still been contacted. Hey, I have an offer from a school. Well, as we have seen, and I've seen countless times throughout the years, sometimes kids will take conversations with coaches that were, hey, how are you? Let's maybe catch up down the road. Let's keep in contact, yada, yada. And kids mistake that for an offer. Sometimes there is an offer that is, again, whether it is misheard, misrepresented, just mistaken by the kids. Sometimes it's just a situation of, it's not really an offer. It's not a committable offer. This is the gray area in the process, is that schools can't talk about who they're talking to. They can't talk about who they've offered. They can't talk about if a kid's even committed. They have to wait until the kid signs on the dotted line, and then you see, hey, we brought him in. We're excited about him. So just know that there are agents out there, especially when you read tweets and stuff on social media about, hey, this kid has an offer from this school, this school, this school, from his agent. Well, agents are out there trying to drum up support and interest for their clients. And so if it makes it look like, hey, this kid is wanted by all these schools, maybe some other schools are going to hop on, when really the interest may not be quite as hot as the agent would publicly present it. So just be calm, pump the brakes a little bit when you see, hey, this kid is being talked to by my school and so on. There has probably been a conversation, but just the level of that conversation, you just need to pump the brakes just a little bit on the excitement level without getting too ahead of our skis as we try to let this process play out here in the coming weeks as coaches and programs around the country try to put these rosters together. All right. We have waited long enough to bring our man to the stage. He is the Valley Hoops Insider. He is Harry Schroeder, golfing guru, Harry Schroeder. Who tried to have him on the other day, and he's like, look, I've got people I got to go hustle on the golf course for money, and not able to be here. So how were the links the other day, Harry?
The day was beautiful. My team came in last in the A flight. if we had messed up one shot, we could have been first in the B flight. But that's how good we were.
Oh, goodness. Well, it was, as they always say, a bad day on the golf course is better than most good days in a lot of places.
That's a lot. That's very true.
Well, Monday, the big news of the day, certainly the news around the league, is Drake officially introducing Eric Henderson as their new head coach. What was your first impression, I guess, of Coach Henderson on that stage?
Yeah, he's an enthusiastic dude, man. I really like that about him. Obviously, the people swear by him that know him. And clearly, Mr. Harden and Mr. Martin, Drake, were very impressed. You hear the responses from Greg McDermott and Darren DeVries and others that just brag about the guy's intentionality, his energy, his passion. And I talked to somebody and they said, the guy you saw at the press conference is the guy that he is every stinking day. And so he'll bring great energy, and obviously a proven winner, 120 plus wins in 6 seasons at South Dakota State. And I think 2 or 3 guys were the player of the year in that league, and they went to the NCAA tournament twice in 4 years, twice in the last 4 or twice in the 6. I forget exactly how it went. So yeah, impressive guy. Looking forward to getting to know him better.
Enthusiasm is the best word I could use. I described it the other day. I said, there's ways to win the press conference. Iona of all schools, when they walk Rick Pitino out there, that's a win the press conference moment.
It's already done.
But for me, it's already, yes. For a guy that, I think you got to be pretty hardcore into basketball to know who Eric Henderson was, unless you're just from that general region of the world. But
sure.
If I'm a Drake fan, I walked out of there feeling really, really good about the man who's leading our program. That a solid read on my part?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, proven winner, right? He was a terrific assistant for TJ Otzelberger there at South Dakota State, where they were winning all the time. And then he took over the program kind of like he's doing now, taking over a successful program and made it just as successful, if not better. And so, yeah, good news, I think, for the Drake folks.
I just thought his the enthusiasm was not. Gosh, what's the best way to put this? It wasn't polished,
Right.
and I say that respectfully in terms of I didn't feel like I was being sold a used car. That it was just it was like just a puppy dog with just this like man he was having a great time doing it and going through the press conference and saying hi to everybody and family and friends and
Yep.
everybody. But it was like it was like you could tell he just couldn't wait for it to get over because man, he just wanted to get to work yesterday.
Yeah, I think you're right. And all of a sudden in the middle, he went, "Wait, I haven't talked about the guys in South Dakota State." And then he went into there, and I thought it's good for him, right? I mean, yeah, you're right. It sounded authentic, not like a sales pitch, and that's what the people around him, the people that I've talked to, say that's who he is. So I was glad to see both of those. Right? You see the energy, you're excited,
Yeah.
but to also hear that it's authentic, that's very cool.
In terms of Drake as a whole, just from your watching that program from afar for many years, that is historically, it has not been a great program historically. I mean, just
No.
you go back, and I was really struck by, obviously there's some recency bias of man, they've had just a great run here the last 5, 6, 8 years. But you go into the Knapp Center and you look up in the rafters and you're like, 1970 and 1971, and then there's just nothing until 2008. And
Right.
but man, Medved, DeVries, McCollum, and now Henderson. What is it about this program right now, from your seat, that things have been positioned a little differently now, where maybe this isn't just a one-hit wonder, as they've shown that this thing and this program and this town and this fan base, it may have some staying power right now.
It's Brian Harden. It's their athletic director, and Marty Martin, their president. They work hand in glove. Those two guys work hand in glove, and they're amazing at what they do. And they've made all of these different hires in other sports as well. They won the All Sports Trophy in the Valley a year ago. They're in contention to win it again this year. So it's all about their synergy between the president of the university and the athletic director, Marty Martin and Brian Harden. And so he didn't hire Nico Medved, but he had to replace him, and he ended up with Darren DeVries, and then he replaced DeVries with McCollum, and now he's replaced McCollum with Henderson. And on the women's side, had to do the same thing. And the Drake women's program is outstanding, and they run the Drake relays to perfection. And as I mentioned, they won the All Sports Trophy last year. It's all about what Brian Harden's doing, and you hear the phrase. I know you had Michael Admire on this week or tail end of last week. That whole Des Moines being the Des Moines hometown team, or whatever the phrase is, that was Brian Harden. It wasn't a good marketing team. It was Brian Harden saying, this is who we're going to be. And so they have built it and created it, but it's about that man, and he's doing an unbelievable job there.
Let's shift over to Illinois State. Holy shnikes. Ryan Peden, the most important R word in college basketball is recruiting, but boy, it's turned into retention in normal right now. What has been your view of what he has been able to do with just keeping guys around and not just one or two, but it's like everybody's back.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. As a matter of fact, I'm interviewing Coach Peden later today. But yeah, I mean, to be able to hold on to Chase Walker and to be able to hold on to Johnny Kinziger and the others, I mean, basically the whole team that didn't graduate is coming back. And part of that is their NIL. They have one of the strongest in the conference, obviously. And but he's built something there that the players really want to be a part of. And listen, playing in the CBI might have been the smartest thing he ever did, meaning it kept his players together. The players enjoyed success together, and probably talking together through that extra week or two of playing and winning games and cutting down nets. Yeah, I want to keep doing this. And I do think that some of those players maybe tested the waters. Obviously, all players are testing the waters these days, and found out maybe my market isn't amazing. Like as great as Johnny Kinziger, the year he had as a sophomore, being 5'10" or whatever, that market is difficult for a 5'10" kid because 5'10" guys maybe don't get their shots off in a tougher, bigger league. And maybe they don't defend as well if they're not strong enough. And so I think maybe guys tested the market, but I do think that Ryan Peden is building something there that the players desperately want to be a part of. And the CBI thing wasn't a mistake, right? I mean, I think it was an important factor.
Yeah. When you're able to, I mean, and I've heard stories of coaches in a couple years ago of Matt McMahon when he was still at Murray State before he left for LSU. And it was like the first year of the portal. And he was like, yeah, my kids can't go to spring break unless they have an assistant coach in the car with them. It's like they needed to chaperone at all times because you were just worried about folks, popping in and, hey, how about coming over here? So I also think it's just from a standpoint of winning. I mean, like you need to learn to win. And this group in an era of continuity being so tough to come by, to have this group and you've won something, and you can poo-poo the CBI if you want. The heck with it. They've won their last game in a tournament setting, and now they've got all those guys back and all summer to just be like, let's build on this. And that's why, some people say, man, they went 10-10, whatever it was in the Valley. How excited should we be, with all these guys coming back from what it was a quote unquote mediocre team in the conference? Yeah, I'm all kinds of excited for them. And I don't see any way that anybody's other than them is number one in the conference preseason next year.
They are the runaway preseason favorite right now. I mean, we don't know who's going to recruit whom, at what schools, but they have 3 or 4 really high-level high school guys coming in. I mean, guys that are top 4 or 5 in the state of Illinois, and they've got 3 of them like that, and another guy from North Carolina. I think that they have great recruits coming in, and they've got all those guys coming back, and they're have created a winning culture. Illinois State right now is far and away the favorite to win the league, and Northern Iowa has a lot of guys back, and some good recruits coming in. Bradley has fewer coming back, but significant players, and man, 2 or 3 really electric high school players coming in. So I think those teams could argue, hey, we belong too. But I would argue that they don't, meaning today, as we look at their roster.
Sure. Yeah, because it's all show me. And that's the Illinois State, they've shown it, and all these other, how many of these kids come in, from the portal and they've averaged 2 points at their previous stop. And we're excited about them and we think there's potential, but Illinois State has shown it. One kid that was a Valley young man and left, and maybe Connor Hickman. Bradley has shown, Brian Wardle has shown, and look, we are driving down wild speculation avenue right now, but
I got on Twitter.
Zeke Montgomery left and came back, and I thought that was great on Brian Wardle's part, that because some coaches be like, you know what, you left, I'm good, we're done here, and Zeke came back and was a big contributor for them last season. So he has shown he could do it again. Connor's got to get a waiver and so on, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt your feelings to see that young man back in the conference.
No, Connor Hickman is a great player. And when he left, it really hindered what they could do this past year. But if he would end up back at Bradley, it's a seismic shift because he arguably becomes the best or second best player in the league.
We're gonna talk about the Billikens.
By the way, hold on. By the way, I like this little thing that's trailing across the bottom there. You're bringing me breaking news as we talk. This is amazing. I love this show. Mornings in the Valley. Everybody sign up, be a part. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Bless you. My mom's already out there, campaigning for me. So I appreciate we got somebody else on the bandwagon there. So you live in St. Louis, greater St. Louis area. You are familiar with the Billikens. There are a couple guys there that I was hoping to pick your brain on. AJ Casey, who only 3 games last year, and I know, but before he got hurt, he's off to Evansville. But Larry Hughes II is going to visit Evansville coming up next week. What can you tell us about? Probably more about Larry Hughes as opposed to AJ, because like I said, he played on such a limited basis. But what can you tell us about them for an Evansville fan base that's got one and is hoping to maybe get both?
AJ was. He's a Whitney Young guy, and was really highly rated coming out of high school. So I think there's great potential there. Larry Hughes Jr., the 3rd or 4th, I forget what his
second. I think he's second.
Listen, he really had some good moments at SLU and was a really good high school player here in the St. Louis area. And he just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And frankly, I don't know the backstory, but he kind of just pulled out. There was personal issues that they didn't really articulate. He's a good player, and he would, and if he ended up somewhere in the Missouri Valley, he would be a really, I think, an outstanding Missouri Valley player. Has talent, can shoot it from outside, can handle a little. But he's kind of a wing that isn't a point guard, but but could do a little bit of that. He can shoot it pretty well, and he's athletic. And so I think if he ended up somewhere in the Valley, it'd be good news for whatever team. But AJ Casey, they were very excited about him coming to SLU, and it just didn't work out, the injury and so forth. And now they've reloaded, and I think he saw the handwriting on the wall, and I think Evansville's a great place for him.
David Ragland, just another 6'9" guy. He's just, I guess he figures if we just put a whole bunch 5'6" guys out there, it's going to be hard to score against us. So he's got a slew of them over there. Before I let you go, the tournament has come to a close. There was a lot of pearl clutching and hand wringing about there are no mid majors in the Sweet 16, and it was just the power conferences. And I'm old enough to remember, gosh, 2 years ago, you had Florida Atlantic and San Diego State in the
way back 2 years ago
in the Final Four. It's like I feel like I'm going to have to see a little more examples than just one. But as the bleeding heart mid-major fans that we are, did a flag go up for you this year, or are you like, all right, let's let this play itself out just a little bit?
Well, I am a guy that takes the long view, but on most things. But I would say it's difficult, right? We watch it every day in the mid-major world. The players coming and going, the finances coming and going, the settlement thing that they're still working on now. They had the big hearing on Monday in Washington, D.C., and how's that going to play out, and all of the pay for play and the distributions. It's very difficult for a mid-major team to compete right now. 13, I think it was, or 14 Southeastern Conference teams getting in there. And then you hear some of the other Power 5 conferences saying, man, we're at such a disadvantage to the all-powerful SEC. And it's just craziness in this particular point. I do think a flag went up, Jeff, but I am a long view kind of guy. And so we'll have to wait and see. But it's extremely difficult for the mid-majors to schedule, to pay for the players they need to compete at that level. We saw Will Richard, the former Belmont guy, cutting down nets. We, saw, all kinds of former Missouri Valley players playing for those big-time schools because they can offer more money. I think it's more the money than the selection process, and I think mid-majors are facing a big uphill battle right now.
Well, they've always kind of faced a battle, I guess, and now it's just it's a little.
I think it's steeper now.
It is a little bit, but we'll see. Like I said, we'll play it out another year and see. Drake obviously winning a game, great for the league, and hopefully we can get back to a situation of getting these multi teams in again from the Valley. So he is Harry Schroeder. He is the Valley Hoops Insider, and appreciate the time. Appreciate we were able to peel you away from the course. I mean, all this rain disappeared, and enjoying the links. But thank you so much for the time today, Harry, and we'll certainly talk with you very soon.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Always glad to be with you.
All right, Harry. There's Harry Schroeder. Other news of the day, and we talked about scheduling, and there are, again, stuff continues to leak out just a little bit one by one. We got yesterday Jeff Goodman from Field of 68 announcing, or releasing at least, that the Emerald Coast Classic, which will be in Destin, Florida, November the 28th and 29th, a little 14 MTE down there. The Drake Bulldogs will take part in that. LSU will be in it. Georgia Tech will be in it. DePaul will be in it. In the past, it's almost been two tournaments. There's been the four big boys and then four mid-major, low-major schools in it, and then the four big boys would host one of those smaller schools to get 3 games in that multi-team event. Those have not been announced as of yet. All they've got right now are those are the 4 teams that'll play. It'll be in Destin, semifinals, final consolation games. You're guaranteed 2 games. So don't know what the matchups will be for Drake at this point with LSU, Georgia Tech, and DePaul. But what is the thing that jumps out to me on that is those are some brand names on there, but I'm also not fully sure from a non-conference standpoint how much it's going to help Drake. That's going to be up to LSU and Georgia Tech and DePaul about what those teams can do in terms of putting together, non-conference resumes. We saw that this year with, I believe Drake was at the Charleston Classic, and they beat Miami of Florida. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Florida Atlantic. Well, on paper, you're like, hey, they beat Miami at Florida. Awesome. They went on to have a horrific season. Florida Atlantic was fine. Vanderbilt was obviously good enough. They got in the tournament, I believe. So it's like, the MTE world is really changing. You are smart. They're going, we talked, I believe on Wednesday, talked about these events that are going on in Vegas where it's like everybody's getting $1 million of NIL money to show up. And it's just all these, the brand names in college basketball just playing each other and all getting paid NIL money. And so it becomes, how do the mids survive in that? Are they going to get invited to that, into those events, out in Vegas around Thanksgiving? So with the MTE world changing, you're just great. We've got a game against somebody from the ACC and somebody from the Big East and somebody from the SEC, and you just hope that those schools can take care of their business to get to help Drake in their non-conference. Because again, on paper, beat Miami, awesome. Beat Florida Atlantic, awesome. But by the time the dust settled, those games did not help Drake, and that's why if they had not won Sunday in Louisville, they would have been in trouble. And they Sunday in St. Louis, in Louisville. If they had not won Sunday in St. Louis against Bradley, I don't believe they would have gotten in. And so that's just one thing to keep an eye on for the Bulldogs. Indiana State has a date set for their matchup with Ball State, the in-state rivalry there between the Sycamores and the Cardinals. November 22nd, that game will be played in Terre Haute. That is year 3 of a 4-year home and home series. So that one will be November 22nd at Indiana State. And then some Valley ties of sorts. Josh Schertz, of course, the coach once upon a time at Indiana State. Ben McCullum, not long ago, the head coach, and by not long ago, I mean like 2 weeks ago, the head coach at Drake. Well, Schertz now at St. Louis, McCullum now at Iowa. SLU and Iowa are going to play this year in Des Moines. I'm assuming not at the Knapp Center. They will be, I believe it's the Wells Fargo Arena they'll be playing at. But so a couple old Valley guys going back into Valley stomping grounds to play a non-conference game coming up this season. Monday, 9 a.m., we will be with you right here on Morning in the Valley. But that is when Valparaiso will officially introduce Courtney Boyd as their new women's head coach. 9 a.m. Monday at the Arc at Valpo. And so we hope to have Coach Boyd on the program in the very near future. Last Wednesday, we told you about some coaching carousel news with the opening at Arizona and how that was. The word on the street was that Allison Pullman at Drake, Beth Cunningham at Missouri State were in the mix to get that job. They were sort of on a semi-finalist list that SB Nation had. I believe Mitchell Northrum was the reporter's name for SB Nation. He had put out sort of here's the 4 or 5 names I'm hearing. By Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, that 5-name list was down to 2, and Pullman and Cunningham were no longer on that list. And in the end, it is Becky Burke, the head coach at Buffalo, led Buffalo to the WNIT championship this year. She is the new head coach at Arizona. One other piece of coaching news, Drake has Eric Henderson. He has hired Bradley, director of basketball operations, Gavin Block, the former Ohio Bobcat great Gavin Block, to be an assistant coach on his staff at Drake. So Brian Wardle, needing to find some new guys to help out on staff. You hear director of basketball operations, you may kind of say, well, that's not an assistant coach. I mean, that is a vital cog in that machine. So Gavin Block, a young up and coming coach, was the director of ops there at Bradley, but he's sliding across enemy lines now onto Eric Henderson's staff at Drake. Brian Wardle also trying to replace Jimmy Foster, who was one of his associate head coaches, who left to join Ali Farokhmanesh's staff at Colorado State. So Coach Wardle with some work to do to try to complete his staff for next season. And one last thing, last night, in Murray, Kentucky, the Murray State women's basketball program, Missouri Valley Conference regular season and tournament champions, made it to the NCAA tournament. for the first time as Missouri Valley Conference champions, first time as a program since 2008. They were recognized by the city of Murray with a proclamation honoring them. And then Caitlin Young, Murray State's all-time greatest. She was given a key to the city last night as well. So those are always just neat deals. And certainly for those of you familiar with Murray, Kentucky, it is a very the city just wraps its arms around its basketball programs and just embrace these kids and the programs and support them to the end of the world. And so to see the whole key to the city deal is pretty neat. And certainly as I talked with head coach Rochelle Turner last night afterwards, and she joked she got a key to the city many years ago, and she joked that it doesn't open anything. she said we stuck it at every restaurant door we could. Coach Turner with jokes, but a neat deal nonetheless yesterday for the Murray State women's program. All right, that does it for this morning's edition of Morning in the Valley. Coming up next Wednesday, looking ahead, we schedule ahead a little bit. We're trying to do that a little bit. Ryan Peden, Illinois State men's basketball coach, will join us, as Harry Schroeder said. He'll be interviewing him as well. You'll be able to check him out over on valleyhoopsinsider.com and hear from Coach Peden in the coming days there. I'm super excited to talk to Coach Peden because, again, that is the retention, incredible, coming off, winning that CBI championship, great. And so all kinds of momentum around that Redbird program as they get ready to go into the 25-26 season. Busy weekend of recruiting and visits, and we expect plenty of commitments and signings here in the next 72 hours before we rejoin you on Monday morning. And we'll have all the latest on those signings and commitments and any other scheduling news that comes out here coming up Monday morning right here at 9 a.m. I appreciate you watching, listening, wherever you are today, whether it's on Facebook Live, whether it's on X, whether it's on YouTube. Please share this with your Valley Hoops loving friends. Like, subscribe, all of it. Over at YouTube, you can get you subscribe, you get the little notification bell. So as soon as we go live, you'll get the little reminder that we are up and running 9 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here for your viewing pleasure. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And as always, thanks for listening and watching Morning in the Valley.